aiming to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's headlines. Indonesia's presidential election, Prabowo Subianto claims victory amid legal challenges. El Niño's effects persist. Over 70 provinces expected to be affected in the Philippines. President Putin pushes for a buffer zone in Ukraine amid the escalating conflict. A top UN-appointed independent expert has issued a stark warning about the escalating situation in Myanmar. Tom Andrews, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar, revealed today that the country's military junta has suffered substantial setbacks on the battlefield, leading to an increase in attacks on civilians. The New Era University China Studies Center celebrates one-year milestone with a guest of honor, the Chinese ambassador, Mr. Wang Shilian. And here's the new rule on the road to keep everyone safe. From now on, musical horns that play tunes are no longer allowed on vehicles in Cambodia. Breaking news from Indonesia, Prabowo Subianto clinches the presidency of the world's third largest democracy, announced by the Elections Commissions today, defeating his rivals who plan to contest the results legally. The passionate defense minister, alongside his vice presidential counterpart, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, son of the outgoing leader Joko Widodo, had already proclaimed victory based on unofficial tallies.
Jumlah suara sah pasangan calon presiden dan wakil presiden nomor urut 2, Haji Prabowo Subianto dan Gibran Rakabuming Raka sebanyak 96.214.691 suara.
Prabowo, 72 years old, ascends to power after a spirited campaign bolstered by his nationalist rhetoric, his tenure as defense minister, and the support of Widodo, popularly known as Jokowi. His competitors, Anies Baswedan and Ganjar Pranowo, garnered 24.9% and over 16% of the vote, respectively. However, challenges loom as Prabowo's adversaries pledge to challenge the outcome, citing alleged irregularities and fraud.
Kepemimpinan yang lahir dari proses yang ternodai dengan penyimpangan, dengan kecurangan, akan menghasilkan rejim yang outputnya nanti, keluarannya nanti adalah kebijakan-kebijakan yang penuh dengan ketidakadilan. Dan ini yang tidak ingin kita temui di Indonesia.
Critics also accuse Jokowi of maneuvering to perpetuate his political legacy through familial ties, a claim dismissed by his supporters. Jokowi's influence, dubbed the X Factor by political analysts, played a pivotal role in Prabowo's victory, according to Firman Noor, a politics professor. Despite controversies and human rights allegations surrounding his past, Prabowo Subianto's electoral victory remains unscathed. Between 1997 and 1998, he commanded the elite army unit known as Kopassus, which Jakarta deployed for special operations to quell internal unrest. And during this period, several kidnappings occurred, and tragically, more than a dozen activists were never located. Prabowo faced military discharge due to his association with these incidents. However, he vehemently denies direct responsibility, and curiously, these accusations seem to have had minimal impact on his electoral prospects this time.
Kita harus bersatu, kita harus rukun, kita harus bekerja sama untuk membawa Indonesia menuju kemakmuran dan keadilan.
A magnitude 5.3 earthquake has struck near Tokyo, but there's no threat of a tsunami. The quake occurred at approximately 9:08 a.m. today. According to the Meteorological Agency, it was centered in southern Ibaraki Prefecture with a depth of 50 kilometers. In Tochigi and Saitama prefectures, the quake measured at a lower 5 on Japan's seismic scale, which ranges from 0 to 7. Additionally, tremors ranging from 1 to 4 were felt across many areas from northeastern to central Japan. As a result of the quake, East Japan Railway has temporarily suspended Tohoku Shinkansen bullet train services between Tokyo and Shin Aomori stations due to a power outage. Similarly, Hokuriku Shinkansen services are halted between Tokyo and Nagano stations, while Jutsu Shinkansen services are suspended between Tokyo and Niigata stations. The effects of El Niño continue to be felt across the country, with reports indicating a rise in the number of provinces affected. Despite signs of the phenomenon weakening, Task Force El Niño spokesperson Joey Villarama stated in a recent interview that the number of affected provinces is expected to increase to over 70 in the next 3 months. Currently, 67 provinces spanning 8 regions are grappling with the impacts of El Niño, with 30 provinces experiencing drought conditions.
Monitoring ng Task Force El Niño nasa 67 provinces, no? So iba't iba ang nararanasan nilang level ng El Niño. So meron nakakaranas ng dry spell, dry conditions at saka drought. Pinakamataas doon sa 67 yung nakaka-experience ng drought, which is 30 provinces. In terms of regions, 8 yan, Region 1, 2, 3, 4A, 4B, 6, 9 at saka 12. Yung mga nagdeklara ng state of calamity, as of the latest NDRRMC report is 6, pero I understand meron pang isang bayan sa Albay na magdedeklara. So 3 po sa Occidental Mindoro, yun yung San Jose, Magsaysay at Looc. Sa Oriental Mindoro, yung Bulalakaw at saka Mansalay. Zamboanga City yung isa at yung inaantabayanan pa, although ulat na magdedeklara sila, yung Pio Duran sa Albay.
The Department of Agriculture has reported significant damage to the agriculture sector amounting to 1.75 billion pesos. Pag-asa has warned that El Niño may persist until the March to April-May season.
Humina na nga siya pero the next 3 months are critical. So may 3 buwan pa po tayong bubunuin. Hindi po tayo pwede maging kampante sa ngayon kasi papasok din naman yung summer season. Hindi pa po dinedeklara officially kahit nararanasan na natin yung init. So meron pa ring mga probinsya na maaapektuhan. In fact, dun sa projection ng Pag-asa, itataas pa nga to mid-70s yung probinsya. Mga 76 pa po ang pwedeng maapektuhan na probinsya in varying degrees in the next 3 months. So hindi po tayo dapat maging kampante, bagkus dapat tayo ay maging handa at maging listo. At dapat po tayo ay patuloy na magtipid given the limited resources we have para po malampasan po natin yung pinakamatindi na pwedeng maidulot ng El Niño phenomenon.
President Marcos Jr. and First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos are reportedly experiencing flu-like symptoms as a result of their packed schedule in recent days, according to Malacanang. The Presidential Communications Office, or PCO, stated that both of them have been receiving fluids and medication to alleviate their symptoms. The PCO assured the public that their vitals remain stable and their attending physician has advised them to rest for a speedy recovery. As a result, the President's appointments for today and the upcoming days have been canceled. Last week, the first couple embarked on a 5-day visit to Germany and the Czech Republic, where they secured approximately $4 billion in investments for the Philippines. Additionally, President Marcos held meetings earlier this week with global business leaders as part of the World Economic Forum Country Roundtable. Furthermore, he hosted U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Malacanang for discussions. A top UN-appointed independent expert has issued a stark warning about the escalating situation in Myanmar. Tom Andrews, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar, revealed today that the country's military junta has suffered substantial setbacks on the battlefield, leading to an increase in attacks on civilians.
There has been a five-fold increase in attacks, aerial attacks on civilians. And the reason for this is that for them, it's dangerous for their troops to move around on the ground. So instead, they're taking the aircraft that they've been able to obtain from abroad and bomb villages, IDP centers, and kill innocent civilians.
The unrest in Myanmar dates back to the military coup 3 years ago when generals seized power, overthrowing the elected government and arresting hundreds, including State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi. Since then, the situation has only worsened, with minority communities like the Rohingya bearing the brunt of the violence. Andrews expressed recent reports have documented the deaths of at least 23 Rohingya, including young children, during attacks in Rakhine State.
The community that is impacted the most is the Rohingya community. The Rohingya are now being bombarded like other areas of the country. Their villages are being bombarded by heavy artillery and by airstrikes. But unlike other areas of the country, they are not allowed to move to safety.
Adding to the dire situation, the junta is coercing young Rohingya to join the military. Andrews described the unimaginable horror faced by Rohingya families forced to send their sons to join the same military that has attacked their villages and driven them into exile.
Imagine if you are a Rohingya family with a young person or a young Rohingya man being forced to join the very military that is barraging your villages with these aerial attacks. The very military that committed genocide against your community, sending hundreds of thousands of Rohingya over the border into Bangladesh. I can't imagine anything as horrific as that kind of situation faced by the Rohingya.
Across Myanmar, approximately 2.7 million people are displaced, with 18.6 million, including 6 million children, in need of humanitarian aid.
The problem that we have right now is that humanitarian aid is not going to the areas that need it most. And I'm talking about the conflict areas, the areas outside of SAC administered areas of the country. This is the fastest growing part of the country. That is where most of the people, growing numbers of people in the country that need humanitarian aid are. There are 18.6 million people who are in need of humanitarian aid.
Andrews urged the international community to take decisive action to halt the junta's atrocities by imposing targeted sanctions.
We need to take away the money that the junta requires in order to continue its reign of terror. And that means sanctions, coordinated, focused, targeted sanctions. Same with weapons.
He emphasized that the junta's actions not only affect Myanmar, but also have global implications, with the country becoming a safe haven for international criminal networks.
It is unbelievable. We're talking about tens of thousands of people, 120,000 victims, human trafficking victims, sent into these centers to operate these scams, these international scams. And they're reaching the entire world. Victims giving up billions of dollars that are being used to fuel these atrocities as a result of these scam centers.
Vietnam's parliament convened today to approve the resignation of President Vo Van Thuong just 1 year into his tenure. The ruling Communist Party cited unspecified violations and shortcomings leading to his resignation. While no detailed explanation has been provided regarding Thuong's alleged violations, earlier this month, the Ministry of Public Security expanded an investigation into an infrastructure development company operating in 3 provinces, including central Quang Ngai, where Thuong previously served as the party chief. The ministry stated that the Pok Son company company was suspected of falsifying financial statements to evade taxes, leading to the arrest of 9 individuals, including 5 officials from Quang Ngai. However, analysts suggest that the scale of Tuong's alleged misconduct may be relatively minor compared to the broader anti-corruption efforts underway nationwide. Benoit de Tréglaude of the Institute of Strategic Research in Paris proposes that internal party maneuvering regarding the succession of General Secretary Trong is a more probable underlying factor. The recent wave of turmoil is attributed to a crackdown on corruption spearheaded by Party General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong, resulting in the abrupt resignations of top officials and significant losses within the party's key decision-making body, the Politburo. Amidst the ongoing conflict in Europe, Russian President Vladimir Putin is pushing to establish a buffer zone within Ukraine, citing the need for protection against potential Ukrainian attacks. This move is seen as a sign of potential escalation, with Russian troops making advances in eastern Ukraine, while Ukrainian forces await vital aid from Western allies. President Putin justifies his pursuit of a security buffer, claiming it would deter foreign incursions. However, Ukraine perceives this as groundwork for further aggression. Recent events indicate Russia's preparations for a significant offensive following incursions by anti-Putin factions into Russian territory and drone strikes in Russia's Belgorod region by Kiev. Russia is evacuating 9,000 children from bordering regions of Ukraine. Putin has also announced readiness for a major military operation in the upcoming summer. Meanwhile, Zelensky's forces are increasingly isolated, facing diminishing support from Western nations. The Pentagon's chief warns of the imminent threat to Ukraine's survival.
I continue to see broad support in both chambers of Congress for Ukraine, and so I'm optimistic that we will see some action moving forward. But again, this is a thing that you can't absolutely predict, and we'll continue to work closely with Congress and our international partners to ensure that Ukraine receives the support it needs.
In the face of these challenges, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin stressed the importance of supporting Ukraine's security, emphasizing the interconnectedness of Ukraine's survival with America's security.
The United States stands by Ukraine because it's the right thing to do and because America cares when freedom is at risk. But we also stand by Ukraine because it's crucial to our own security. The United States would face grave new perils in a world where aggression and autocracy are on the march, and where tyrants are emboldened, and where dictators think that they can wipe a democracy off the map.
Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson has declined to bring a $60 billion aid bill for Kiev to a vote. Despite this obstruction, the Biden administration asserts its commitment to resolving the deadlock through continued dialogue with lawmakers. With over 3,000 recorded attacks by Russia this year, peace negotiations remain elusive, and Putin's actions hint at the establishment of a buffer zone within the Ukrainian territory. And Putin's confidence evident in his recent remarks inside the Kremlin's Andreev Hall suggests a continuation of his aggressive tactics, both on the political and military fronts.
Которые здесь выступали, говорили о ожидаемых победах и поздравляли с победой на выборах. Победа на выборах – это только пролог к тем победам, которые так нужны России и которые обязательно будут. Спасибо большое. Прежде всего хочу выразить слова благодарности и восхищения жителями Белгородской области и других пограничных регионов. Хочу выразить слова благодарности за ваше мужество. Конечно, мы можем ответить тем же можем ответить. И по гражданской инфраструктуре, и по всем другим объектам подобного рода, по которым противник наносит удар. У нас есть свои взгляды на этот счет и свои планы. Будем идти по тому, что мы наметили.
The Olympics are coming to Paris this year, and there's been a lot of discussion about athletes from Russia and Belarus. The war in Ukraine has had a big impact on the world, including the sporting community. Following the situation, the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, decided that athletes from these countries could compete in Paris, but under a neutral flag. And this means no national anthems played if they win, and no representing their countries officially. The mayor of Paris expressed concerns about Russian and Belarusian athletes participating at all.
AINs will not participate in the parade of delegations teams during the opening ceremony, since they are individual athletes, but an opportunity will be provided to them to experience the event. This is the same scenario that was used for independent Olympic participants at the Olympic Games in Barcelona in 1992 for athletes from the former Yugoslavia.
Now, this is similar to how athletes from the former Yugoslavia participated in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. It's a complex situation. Representing your country at the Olympics is a huge honor, and this decision will undoubtedly be disappointing for these athletes. The IOC is trying to find a balance between allowing athletes to compete and making a statement about the war. Russia has strongly criticized the decision, calling it unfair.
Международный олимпийский комитет стал местом, где процветает неонацизм и расизм. Только так это можно квалифицировать. Сегрегация людей по национальности, этническому принципу, отстранение людей только на основе их гражданской принадлежности от международных спортивных мероприятий тому лучшее свидетельство.
Whether it's the right call or not, the war has clearly impacted the way these athletes will experience the Olympics. In an unusual revelation shedding light on the private affairs of the royal family, recent footage has surfaced featuring Kate, the Duchess of Wales, displaying their radiant and robust appearance, and this comes in the wake of her undergoing surgery 2 months ago. Reporting from the Windsor Castle, here's Love and Season.
In a rare glimpse into the private life of the royal family, footage of Kate, the Duchess of Wales, has emerged, showing her looking fit and healthy following surgery 2 months ago. Nelson Silva, who took the video, said Kate looked happy and relaxed. They look happy just to be able to go to a shop and mingle. Kate looked relieved, like it was a success going to a shop. It felt natural. The video, published by the Sun newspaper, was reportedly filmed on Saturday at a farm shop in Windsor near the couple's home. Kate, 42, underwent successful surgery in January for a non-cancerous condition, spending 2 weeks in the hospital. Despite social media speculation about her health, Kensington Palace has remained tight-lipped, with Kate's spokesperson stating she's recovering well but not expected to resume official duties until after Catholic's Easter. Her office has also previously asked the media to respect the prince's privacy and said it would only provide information when there were significant updates. The video comes after Kate issued her first public statement earlier this month, thanking the public for their messages of support. However, a subsequent apology followed after an edited photo of the family was released, drawing criticism from leading news organizations. Reporting from Windsor Castle, United Kingdom, this is Love and Season. We'll live in extraordinary times.
Finally, in our news, today marks the first anniversary of the China Studies Center of the School of International Relations at the New Era University. China's ambassador to the Philippines, Wang Shilian, was the guest of honor on this occasion. The Chinese envoy hopes for more success for the school in the coming years.
Dear faculty and fellow students, a thousand-mile trip begins with one step. With the first anniversary of China Studies Center serving as the inaugural milestone, we have laid a groundwork for a journey of greater collaboration and understanding. And at a time of difficulties or at a trying time, the center's role as a bridge is even more crucial and even more valuable. It is my sincerest hope that you may continue to serve as the China-Philippines relations, to observe the China-Philippines relations from a wider and longer perspective and deliver fresh insights and innovative approaches to its future development.
Ambassador Wang also mentioned that it is inevitable for neighboring countries like China and the Philippines to have misunderstandings and disputes. But what's important, he said, is to resolve them through dialogue and not through provocation.
As China and the Philippines are linked by a strip of water, it is normal for neighboring countries to have differences and disputes, but it is imperative that we address them through constructive dialogue and friendly consultation instead of any provocation or disinformation. This is not only a proven way to get along with neighboring countries, but also experience from the turnaround of our relations and part of our Asian values, featuring peace, cooperation, inclusiveness, and integration. And a steady relationship serve the fundamental interest of our two countries and two peoples. To conclude, I wish.
According to Dr. Carlos Tabunda Jr., Dean of the School of International Relations, since the launch of the China Studies Center, they have conducted a series of activities to further promote friendly relations between the Philippines and China.
The thing is, as we committed during our launching last year, the China Studies Center of the University is committed to open up talks, to open up the dialogue between our two countries. We admit that our relationship at this time is not necessarily very good because, some political tensions, but we at the university, Chinese Studies Center, still aim to foster better people-to-people relationship in spite of all the hardships in spite of all the challenges we're undergoing right now. We will remain your friends, and the new university will remain open to our friends coming from the Chinese embassy and all our friends coming from the People's Republic of China.
As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.